All right, welcome back to the Dr. Jimbo Love Show. Just want to make sure we are recording here, which we are. Thank you very much for tuning in this morning. We are live at Brothers Bar and Grill in the shops at Northfield in the mezzanine section upstairs. Patrick the Picker has joined us today, which is wonderful. And we're going to talk a lot about some of the bets from last week and also do a rapid fire later on and do our picks again for today, college basketball. How you been?
No, we did not plan on wearing our hockey shirts today, but yes, we look very good. If football's over, we're on to hockey now.
That's right. That's right.
Ivy
Hockey and
League,
basketball.
Ivy League, smart people. Unlike myself, smart guy. Unlike myself.
Oh, I don't know if I'm that smart. Trust me.
I'm good. I'm getting ready for going to New Orleans for Fat Tuesday, so I'm looking excited and excited I could squeeze in here. Wasn't sure if I'd be able to make it again with the schedule, but here we are.
We love to have you, and we want to thank everybody that tuned in last week's show. We had over 2,700 views, and we had some nice comments about Patrick and his picking ability. Some people missed Seth. Seth says hello. He's downstairs right now, and I even invited him to come up and do a cameo, so we never know. He may come up and stick his head in, and he'll tell us a little bit about St. Cloud State's woes. They lost again last night after 2 ties to Miami last week. So, yeah, they just want to make that final frozen 16 teams, and then they feel like they'll be in pretty good shape is what Seth keeps telling me. But definitely not good news for if you're a St. Cloud State fan in hockey. They lost last night, just a little spoiler alert, to North Dakota. So, let's talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. Got to give Patrick some props right off the bat here. Patrick called the game. He said, and I will quote, "The Chiefs are going to snake them at the end." And that's exactly what happened. I've never seen a game go down like that where they do clock management and then kick a field goal. It was interesting. The running back there getting down inbounds and running the clock down. What do you think about that strategy?
Yeah, it was kind of similar to when my Giants went, except my Giant guy fell in the end zone and had to have the heart attack, of course, to end it. And that Super Bowl. The biggest thing to me to know, it's the second Super Bowl, and I mean, in recent history, both of them were. Team was up double digits at half and lost the game overall. The defense for the Eagles got put on notice. I think that I was listening to a good show and just the quarterback play from the AFC versus the NFC. But their defense was supposed to be tough, and they were not tough. Of course, the holding call at the end of the game, everybody will talk about. I love that guy. He used to be a former Giant. I mean, it's a hold. People don't like it, but it was a hold. If they're calling it like they do in the regular season. Exciting game overall. Good comeback by the Chiefs. Anybody who did the in-game on the Chiefs who took the points looked really good. Patrick Mahomes is really solidifying himself, whether you like him or not, especially playing hurt. He was hurt, definitely. I don't know what they were numbing him up with, but he got hurt again during the game.
It was right before halftime. They had the extended halftime, which really probably helped him. I know there were some comments, before the half that, oh no, Patrick Mahomes is going to have too much time back there and he's going to stiffen up. Well, that's not the case. It gives the trainers that much more time to work on him. And you're right, they shot him up with something because he wasn't really limping that much. I got excited because one of the prop bets that I did was I had Patrick Mahomes in 2 of my parlays being 3 or more sacks. And then I see him go down a little bit before the first half, and I'm thinking, oh, good, Philly's going to tee off on him. Well, that didn't happen. I don't think he got sacked once.
It's not often I get a game pretty much right, but we did. I said the Eagles get out to start. They did. I didn't think it was going to be double digits. I didn't think the Chiefs were going to have to come back on it. It was going to be that exciting. But yeah, it was a fast start. The over was a lock. I mean, that was locked up by almost halftime.
One thing we did miss, we got to say this, is we thought time of possession would be in Kansas City's favor, and it was very lopsided in Philly's favor. That was one of the prop bets we both agreed upon, and we were wrong. But there were some other good things. I mean, Patrick also said, and I agreed with him, we said that it would get off to a fast start. And if you remember, there was a touchdown right on the first drive, and then another touchdown on the next ensuing drive. I had a parlay bet going that if I had Philly as the first drive touchdown and Kansas City field goal, I would have won like $200. But didn't happen. Kansas City actually scored a touchdown. It was 7-7.
I ended up staying away. I had a good Saturday, and I was meeting some new people and on my best behavior, because I'm always on my best behavior. But I was with actually a Bronco, last season ticket holders of Broncos, so they hated the Chiefs. I hated the Eagles. The only thing I did win was I did win the third quarter square, and the date I was with, she won the fourth quarter square. So I don't think we were very well liked leaving the house. But I stayed away from most of the big stuff. The over was the one I really liked, and it's a Super Bowl, and there's too many people, and I got sidetracked. I never even got my bet in.
Okay.
And then by the time the points are running up, the over, I mean, it moved up almost, in game was like 66.5 or something. I'm like, no.
That's crazy.
I like that lower where it was.
Yeah. Well, 50.5 was what it was before the game.
Yeah.
50.5, and they ended up scoring, 73 points, right?
It just
38
kept, oh
plus
my God, just
35?
38-35, yeah.
So it's 73, yeah.
Very happy for my buddy Saul again. He's a diehard Chiefs fan. I was sad I couldn't be there, popping the champagne with them. And maybe one of these days, one of our teams will get back in it. His Steelers and our Giants used to run the show.
Yep.
Now we just stink. Now we need to get back to the top.
Yeah, now the Steelers are doing the right thing. They went out and got themselves what they are trying to tout as our next franchise quarterback, Kenny Pickett. We'll see. I've seen some videos of him working out. It looks like he's putting in the time. So we just got to hope for next year.
He's young. He's getting better.
Yeah.
Getting better.
Well, again, we just talked about the over, and we both said it was going to be high scoring. I just didn't think it was going to be that high scoring. And so good game, good Super Bowl to watch. I had a pretty good time. Did you?
I did have a good time. Not a whole lot of defense. That's kind of the new age NFL. I'm more of a defensive guy. I like the little bit lower scoring games. Those are heart attacks waiting to happen.
Right.
But again, when you don't have a dog in the fight, you either got to make a wager, a friendly wager, or you got to do something. Halftime show, Rihanna, I don't know, whatever your thing is. But I did enjoy the actual game, and
I had 10 prop bets.
I heard it was busy in here, brothers.
Yes, that I heard too. That was also. So yeah, we're at the shops of Northfield Brothers. Bar and Grill right across the street from Harkin Theaters. Yes, it was busy in here, and just to give you an idea, we talked about all those prop bets. I bet 10 prop bets, a total of $62. I was 0 for 10. Now, granted, almost every one of my bets had Philly winning. That was one of my legs.
I told you.
So if you don't pick the right team, you're going to be screwed.
I told him when we were sitting down, I said, Philly don't win, not one of these is going to hit.
Yep.
And he had let's give him some credit. He had some crazy exotic bets that would return stuff. I mean, things that don't really happen normally in a game. But,
let's see if I can pull up a couple of these
That's
things.
the Super Bowl. I mean, one of the biggest bets is the national anthem. The national anthem went under. National anthem was at 205 or so at most books that you could get the bet in, and it came in at 2 or 2.5. Some good Instagram videos of people who bet the over were getting killed before the game even started. That's usually one of the safest ones. Heads or tails?
Heads or tails? It was tails. It was tails. I said heads.
I always go heads. My boys always go tails. They were in on that together, so they did that.
Yep. And then I didn't think about the deferment, but luckily, Kansas City won the toss and they deferred, so all my parlays were set up for the first team into the red zone, the first team to score. What kind of score is going to be? I had all that right.
And I believe the first drive ended up in a score.
It was a touchdown.
Yes.
Yeah. So they marched right down, and then Kansas City turned around and marched down and scored as well. Had that been a field goal, I would have won. I had a $5 bet. I think it was $220 minus whatever I put down, $5. But that's okay. I'm not upset. You have to go out on a limb, and there's a thing called covering your bet or hedging your bet, which I didn't do. And so I was either going to win big or lose big. I lost big.
One of the bets I saw that was a heartbreaker for a certain individual was the first scores for each team.
That's the one I bet.
He had the Eagles score right to the player.
Touchdown. Yep.
But he had the actual players.
Oh, he did the players.
So he didn't do the field goals. It was first TD score. I'm sorry, first TD score. So first TD score, he had the Eagle, and then if everybody remembers, the Chiefs went down. They call it a touchdown. His elbow was down at about the half-yard line. They called it back, and I forget the amount. It was a lot of money, and so that was a heartbreak for that guy.
Oh, wow.
Or gal, I don't even know. If you go on Instagram, there's some very good betting sites that you could post your tickets, your buddy's tickets, or whatever. We actually had a regular down here post another regular when we were doing the Giants and Vikings game, where he was in a Viking shirt. He is a Vikings fan. He knows I'm a Giants guy. So he went and got a Giants hat, and he posted online when you're not really sure who to bet, so you bet them both. And he made actually about 50,000 likes on it. So it was kind of interesting. But moving on.
Yes,
we got to keep the show rolling.
Well, yeah, let's move on to some picks, because Patrick did some picks. Now, it was a little bit of rough time with the rapid fire. Now I'm going to let Patrick go through this, because this kind of gives us some accountability for our picks, and we're going to do...
We need to do more accountability.
Yes, and we're going to do a rapid fire pick after the college basketball segment today, and we'll see how well we do next week.
So what I was just telling him about before we did this, though, is when you're doing... So we did all the top 25 games that had not already started last week, so we did miss out on a few. 6-6, 5-7, so... I mean, that's okay. It's
I was
okay.
6-6?
Yeah, 6-6 total. We had somebody...
Do you want to go down through those, or just... No, we don't really have
it's
to.
kind of a lot.
Let's just skip that in. So basically... you were 6-6, or I was 6-6.
I was 5-7.
You were 5-7. But that's pretty decent then. I mean,
but
we're 50%.
The only things that we can take a little credit for is I said I like the later slate in the evening, and that was right. We both were on BYU. We liked that one.
Yep.
And they covered plus 13. I loved UCLA minus 2.5 against Oregon. They won by 7. Those were all late night hits, and those are very helpful. We both love Texas Tech at home.
I like the Indiana and Michigan game. I like.
He loved it, and that did not work out so well for me. The morning games, we both hit Mizzou. So what I would tell people, if you already don't know it, it's nice to bet the slate of games if you're watching. It keeps you entertained and busy. $10, whatever your budget is, you're doing it here or there, right? But if you really want to win money, you got to centralize it on a game or a couple games or a couple bets, whatever it is, over/under spreads, whatever it is. So like last week, I liked UCLA. That was great for me because if you look at the rest of my slate, it was pathetic. I lost UNLV, TCU, Portland State, Iowa State. I mean, it was just, it started the day with nothing but X's. Thank God we warmed up a little. The other thing we were talking about, especially this time of year, look at those big spreads. He took Louisville last week. I said Miami, but I said he's going to win that. Louisville had 3 wins on the year against the number 15 and getting better team, and going to be a good team in the tournament. And they covered that game easily. So look for those big spreads. We'll give you some picks in our rapid fire today. I'm looking at nothing but a lot of, I think everything today in our rapid fire are big home favorites or medium favorites, and then I think we have one big road favorite with Gonzaga in the top 25.
Gotcha. What was the one that was the plus 20?
That was Louisville and Miami.
Oh, Louisville, Miami. Okay.
And
that was
you said Louisville. I said I think he's going to win. I'll go opposite.
And then the Mizzou game was a plus 13.
We had a couple 13s.
And Mizzou ended up winning.
13 was Mizzou.
Yep.
We hit both the 13s. Mizzou was plus 13.
They're playing against the number 1 team at the time, Tennessee, or number 2. They were high up.
And then BYU as well against St. Mary's plus 13. I'm like, that's too big of a number. And especially this time of the year when the conference tournaments are getting ready to warm up and you got rivalry games and things like that. Look for big numbers. That's what you really got to do. Look for big numbers.
I agree.
Or look for underdogs or
home teams too in college basketball is big.
That's what we'll go to today.
Really big.
We got nothing but home favorites and big ones.
Yep. Excellent. Let's transition to hockey. What do you think?
Well, we look good. We might as well do it. Again, we don't plan out our outfits.
No.
We don't. I just picked this one up this fall. I was in a wedding in Vermont. I was not in the wedding. I was invited to a wedding in Vermont. And the day before I think we left, we went and checked out the Dartmouth campus, which was just a little bit south of where the wedding was, and both Ivy League schools.
Yep, exactly. And you were, I remember seeing some pictures, you were at Dartmouth's bar.
Yeah, we did. I tried to get in.
He was in Hanover.
I went to Hanover. That was my first time there. That's kind of the major town. I mean, obviously college town. We had dinner down there. The bride's father and I tried to sneak into the barn with him.
That's right. You almost got in trouble.
Not really trouble, but all the doors were locked, and the guy was like, "Yeah, it's just not open today." And I was like, "Any chance of sneaking us in? We're from out west," and no such luck to get a couple pictures. But I did get some pictures outside, as well as the campus. And then when we had dinner that night, it was the ladies' field hockey team, big team, big table, having dinner over there. So. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen on that trip.
Cool. Well, let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about the pairwise rankings, because we had some things happen last night that changed some of the rankings. Remember, pairwise is something that's calculated every single game, so you get to go in and see exactly what the movement was in the polls right after the game is over. Number 1 is Minnesota. Number 2, Quinnipiac. Number 3 is Michigan. Denver is up to number 4. St. Cloud State is number 5. Penn State is 6. We'll talk a little bit about Penn State's game with Minnesota. That's one of our featured games. Not gonna do the spoiler alert here. BU played as well. That's another one. Number 7. Remember this one when we talk about some of the scores. BU and Penn State. I might as well just tell you this. They both lost, so that's going to affect them, and it already has, because this pairwise reflects the loss from last week, or last night. Western Michigan's 8, Ohio State is 9, Harvard is 9 as well, Michigan Tech is 11, Cornell dropped from 10. They were in a tie last night with Cornell, with Harvard at 10, and they dropped to 12. Spoiler alert there, Cornell lost to not a very good team, Clarkson.
Talk to your buddy.
Scotty, I tried to call Scotty Howard. Usually Scott calls me after the game, and he must have been a bad loss because it was an overtime loss. Have not been able to talk to him. He's been MIA, and I'll get some more scoop from him tonight. Now, Cornell is facing off against St. Lawrence tonight. We'll talk again a little bit more about their loss to St. Lawrence.
Loss is a loss. Again, you're playing home on homes. Most of them are against the same team, not always against the same team. When you go on these home on homes this type of year, you just want to split them. If you're the home team, you want to take 2. If you're the road team, you want to split them.
Yep, absolutely. Minnesota State Mankato is 12 as well. Nebraska Omaha 14. Michigan State 15. Notre Dame dropped from 14 down to 16. Alaska up to 17. UConn is 17 as well. Northeastern is 19. Merrimack, who got a big win against BU. That's a big interstate rival. We'll talk a little bit about that. They are at 20. RIT 21. North Dakota 22. Providence 22 as well. And then we've got the UMass Lowell, Boston College, and Bowling Green finishing out the top 25.
We're getting into a dogfight this time of year, trying to get into the top 16, get in the tournament, and see what can happen. Yep. So, I mean, you see my Notre Dame fluctuating 14-16, Alaska's up to 17. So it's going to be a dogfight for these guys to get into the tournament and then see what they do. I still think that there's a big top differential from 1, 2, 3, and 4 versus maybe the 14, 15, and 16s.
Well, the problem is they don't take the top 16 teams. What they do is there's 10 automatic bids.
Yep.
And those are conference victories, and they're already predetermined. So really, there's only an at-large of 6 spots. So you see some of these teams like Notre Dame and Cornell, they're right there on the cusp, but they need to have a huge showing here in the second half of the season, and they need to do extremely well in their conference championship tournament, or you're not going to get one of those 6 spots unless you win your tournament. You know?
It's just, they're trying to crank it up at the right time, and this is what they're going to have to do.
I just wish they would go to 32. I really wish that hockey would just go one extra game, put 32 teams in. Now, granted, that's almost, because there's only 60 Division 1A hockey teams. That'd be taking half of them. It would really lessen the tournament. But with all these automatic bids, you'd be able to go out and really be able to find a sleeper. What are your feelings on that? Do you think that you want to see expanded from 16 to 32?
I mean, 32 out of 60 is kind of a lot, but what I do think you're seeing is more parity in the college hockey game. And like we talked about in a lot of shows previous, like Arizona State became a Division I very fast. So I think you're seeing more teams get back into, maybe get more teams in the top 6,
Sure.
or more than 60, I should say. Right now, 16 is probably good, but the thing is, hockey's kind of.
How about this? Let's not go to 32. Let's go to 24. We take 8 more at-large bids.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And then what we do is we take the
Then you
24
give a bye
to 16,
to the number one.
kind of like the play-in games for the NCAA basketball tournament, where it's 68 teams. So there's 4 teams that have to play in. You know, there's a total of 4 games that are play-in games. Maybe do that with the teams, so then you'd have 4 play-in games, and then start the tournament that way.
I'm always in favor of more games, so you're never going to get me out of that argument.
But then again, you're right. If you get to 32, you're really watering down the field, and there's some games that
or if you're gonna do 32, you're gonna have to give some respect to the teams that have dominated all year and not make them go out and get a potential upset if it's a best of one.
And they get upset. They get upset, and it ruins the whole thing.
So,
all right. Well, let's go into our 4 featured games, and we're going to talk about some other scores just to bring you up to date. Again, hockey. If you want to find hockey scores, please go to www.uscho.com, and you can go in and you can see all the different polls. You can look and see the scoreboard. It gives you a relatively real-time updates for the scores. Now, I know back east, I'll call my friend Scotty Howard at Cornell, and it'll be posted on UCHO. It's usually a period behind, but at least you can follow along a little bit, and you get the real-time scoring, before that's even reported on any of the other networks. Let's start off with Air Force, just down the field, down the I-25, 45 minutes away. They played AIC, and the game ended up not in Air Force's favor. 3-2, AIC wins. They started out in the first period 3-1, AIC. There were no scoring in the second period, and then Air Force added a goal in the third period. The overall shots on goal, Air Force had 38 shots, and AIC only had 19. Remember, folks, the team that has the most shots usually wins. So we have to give a lot of hats off to Jarrett Fisk of AIC, the goalie. He had 36 saves. So bad news for Air Force, but they'll get a chance tonight. They're playing them again. So we'll see what happens, and we'll report that next week.
We're starting to see that, I feel, more and more every time we do this show, is the team is getting outshot. Usually hockey's the opposite way. You get the shots, you get the goals, that's who usually wins. But I feel like the last few weeks we've been doing the shots, and teams who are taking on a heavy load of shots are either able to deflect it or they're not high percentage ones. And the ones that they are getting, whether it be on the power play or whatever you have you, are going in the net for the other direction. So.
Well, we're seeing some really good goalie play. It's spectacular. Tons of saves. Like AIC, the guy saved 36 shots on goal. That's pretty impressive. And he was rewarded. His team won 3-2.
Let's talk about some more shots on goal.
Yes,
look at it. It's the same thing again.
Yeah, it's really wild. Minnesota is ranked number 1 in pairwise, number 2 on some of the other polls. They played number 5 pairwise Penn State. We've been kind of watching Penn State all year because this has been a banner year for this program. Unfortunately, Minnesota crushed them 7-2. And it started out with Minnesota jumping on all over them on 8 shots in the first period. They scored 2 goals. Penn State had 11 shots on goal. So Minnesota's goalie, Justin Close, started shutting things down pretty early. Second period, Minnesota blew up. 5 goals. 5 goals in the second period on 15 shots. That's 1 out of every 3 shots is a goal.
That's a baseball batting average for a Silver Slugger.
That's a rough day for the goalie for Penn State. Penn State scored a goal and had 19 shots on goal. And then the third period, Minnesota just got into a defensive posture. They only had 5 shots on goal. Penn State was able to add a goal. We don't know whether it was an empty netter or not. It may have been. But they had 11 shots on goal. Now, listen to this, folks. Penn State had 41 shots on goal. Minnesota only 28. And the score with difference was 5 goals. Go figure.
7-2.
Go figure.
Again, high percentage shots. I think it's starting to revolve around the power play. Some of these units are good. When I was at the DU CC game, DU's power play looked a lot different than CC's. I mean, they could move the puck, look like NHL power play.
Yeah.
So you can't, I'm guessing there's definitely some penalties taken there, and I mean that leads to easy goals.
I didn't replay the penalties.
I think it leads to those easy goals, and that's why you're kind of noticing some of the shot differentials on top of the high percentage against the opposite. Usually it's supposed to be high percentage with the shots, but it's the opposite.
Well, let's move to the next game, which is, Cornell hockey. I love this shirt. I want to thank Scotty Howard for getting me some Cornell hockey gear. He hooked Seth up to, Patrick's pointing it out right there. We have a team that significantly outshot a team and lost. Cornell in Ithaca, Lino Rink in Ithaca, New York. Clarkson ends up pulling out an overtime victory in a shootout, 4-3. The game started out very, very closely. Clarkson and Cornell both scored in the first period. 8 shots on goal for Clarkson, 6 for Cornell. Then Clarkson hit 2 in the second period, scored 2 goals on 4 shots. Ian Shane was struggling a little bit for Cornell. Cornell scored a goal and had 10 shots on goal, so they were skating hard. And then we move into the third period where they both scored a goal on 7 shots for Cornell, or 7 shots for Clarkson and 11 shots for Cornell. That brings your total number of shots is 27 for Cornell, 19 for Clarkson, and we have a 4-3 win for Clarkson. The goalie for, his name is Hayter, had 24 saves for Clarkson, and then Cornell's Ian Shane had 15 saves.
Good game though, in extras, right?
Yeah.
A good game in extras.
And Scott, we'll catch up with you. It's not like him not to call me back. I don't think he's really that upset. I just think he's gotten really busy. Forever Green Farms is Scott's company. If you guys ever need pine trees or evergreens, he can ship them anywhere in the country. He's out tagging trees. He tagged trees all last week. It was 70 degrees in Ithaca one day last week. So folks, get your orders in with him. You can reach him at 607-227-3500. It's Forever Green Farms out of Ithaca, New York. All right, let's talk about our last one. Minnesota Duluth at Magnus Arena, Denver, DU. Looked really good for DU. They ended up scoring 6 goals. It was 6-2. The way it broke down, Minnesota Duluth and DU scored in the first period, 6 and 8 respectively as far as goals, shots on goal. They both scored in the second period. Duluth added 1 goal and Cornell. DU added 2 goals, 13 and 14 shots respectively. So that second period must have been fun to watch. There were almost 27 shots on goal just in the second period alone. Third period, Duluth did not score. DU ended up scoring 3 times on 10 shots. It ended up 6-2. DU wins. 34 shots for DU or for Duluth, and 31 shots for DU.
4 games, and the team that got outshot won all 4 games.
Isn't that crazy?
That didn't even happen when I played youth hockey.
No.
That one was a little bit closer, but the problem is the score was 6-2.
Yeah.
And then the same in the other one, 41-28 on the shots, but it was 7-2.
Yep. All right, some other notable scores. Number 17, Michigan State beat Wisconsin. I'm going to Madison on Tuesday. Hope to catch a game. I want to go watch one of these Big Ten hockey games. But Minnesota State won 6-2. Minnesota State Mankato beat Bemidji 4-1. Colgate beat St. Lawrence 3-2 in overtime shootout. Harvard, who's really playing tough in our Ivy League that we're representing, beat Union 5-3. Harvard is now number 9 in pairwise, so they're starting to make a little bit of a separation. I really think Cornell is going to have to beat Harvard in the Ivy League tournament in order to jump over them so that they can be considered for that final 16 slots. This is a big game right here. Merrimack out of Massachusetts. Okay, plays number 5 BU. 4-1 Merrimack. So Merrimack, remember, they were in the top 20 or top 10 for a while. They're showing their true colors, and it looks like they're starting to come out of their slump. Nebraska, Omaha versus Miami. Remember, St. Cloud State tied Miami twice last weekend, and St. Cloud State is 6th overall, or 5th in pairwise. Nebraska-Omaha won 3-1. St. Cloud State struggled against North Dakota. Our insider from North Dakota, Matt, was calling Seth and giving him a whole bunch. They were going back and forth with each other. At one point in time, St. Cloud State was down 3-1, and they ended up coming back and winning in overtime. I'm sorry, North Dakota came back and won in overtime 4-3. And then lastly, let's talk about Alaska.
They won again.
Alaska wins 3-2 against LIU. So
we're up to 17. I mean, they're trying to fight their way in. Again, the conference tournament's going to be a big part of the 10 of the 16 that get in. So
not bad for hockey. We're going to go hockey heavy and college basketball heavy going forward, because we don't have college football anymore, and we're not going to start talking about NBA basketball until the playoffs. We may talk a little bit about that. Now, college basketball, again, the tournament doesn't get started until the second week of March now, so we'll go through all of championship week and everything else. Of course, they don't call it championship week anymore. They've shortened it to champ week on ESPN for college basketball.
NBA and the NHL will kind of take the cake as we transition into baseball. Right now, the transition is from college and pro ball into our hockey here, our college hockey, and the NCAA tournament, which will be coming up here soon as well. Conference tournaments going on in both of them, and it'll lead us right into the NHL, which I am happy that my Rangers are playing better. Got their hat on today, backwards of course, but I got the hats on there.
Right up.
And let's talk about the hoops since we got
let's go in and just kind of give everybody a little bit of a. Sorry about that. And we've got a thing that clicks off on here, and there's no way you can turn it off. So then when you see us reaching forward, it's just because our screen's going dead.
We're just poking each other.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk a little college basketball. Let's just kind of update you on the top 25. We're going to go just the top 20 today. Number 1 is Alabama. Number 2, Houston. Of course, they've been in the top 3 all year long. Well, Alabama lost, so I don't think they're going to be number 1, but they were up from number 2. Purdue, who did lose. Tell us a little bit about your feelings about Purdue.
I watched and majored the game, and Purdue they're not looking very good. They lost to Maryland. They lost by about 6. The problem that I have with them is they have the 7'3" center, and just soft. Like, I don't know if he's going through a funk. I don't know if
he's sick or something.
I don't know if there's bad things going on. I mean, you don't want to jump to conclusions on what, but early on it seemed like they were doing much better with him, being a lot more physical, or other teams are catching on and being more physical with him. But he's kind of their leader. He's 7'3", 7'4" inside, and it was soft. He was soft the entire game. Maryland inside beat him up. He looked miserable. He looked sad. And if they don't figure that out, they're gonna drop more positions.
Well, they didn't just get beat by a little bit. They got beat by 13 points, 68-54 to Maryland, who's not even ranked. So I mean that's not good. Let's keep continuing. Oh, by the way, I should probably point out Patrick's, of course, not partaking in the alcoholic beverages today. I got the Station 26, and I've talked about this a number of times. If you get a chance to try a Colorado craft beer, a local beer, Station 26, the Tangerine Cream is delicious. And that's kind of the beer that we're featuring today, and that you'll see me drinking throughout the show. It's got a better taste than Blue Moon, but it's along the same lines as Blue Moon. It's just got the tangerine flavor, which is a unique beer flavor. So try it if you get a chance. All right, number 4 is UCLA. Number 5, Kansas. Number 6, Texas. Number 7, Virginia. Number 8, Arizona. Number 9, Baylor. Tennessee. Remember, Tennessee was ranked number 1 here for a little while. They are now 10th. Marquette is number 11. K-State 12. Gonzaga. The old Zags are at 13, lucky 13. 14 is Michigan, Indiana. Not even close. 15 Miami, 16 Xavier, 17 St. Mary's, 18 Creighton, 19 Iowa State, and then 20 is UConn. San Diego State comes in at 21, which I probably should talk
I
about.
mentioned the top 25. UConn, or those last five: San Diego State, TCU, NC State, Providence, FAU. Those are teams I don't want to see. San Diego State's trending real well in the Mountain West Conference. My Lobos are not. TCU, if they're at home this year, they've been playing well. And nice to see UConn back in the top 20. It's been a while, and all their programs, including college football, are getting a little better because they took a real dive there for a while. We got some live updates for you. We'll do our picks with every game that hasn't started because the noon slate is starting. So we'll do everything from noon on and our picks. Everything that has started, though, UConn is up 56-44 on Seton
Do you
Hall.
want to do the picks right now?
We can do them right after, yeah. I'll give the live updates.
The live updates. Perfect.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that.
UConn's up 56-44. That game is on Fox. 4 minutes left against Seton Hall. So they're laying it to them pretty good. Indiana actually came back to tie it, 67 all. They have 44 seconds left. So that'll be a nail biter and possibly a cover if Indiana can go to overtime. If not, that will be a cover for Illinois. Kind of a shocking, maybe not so shocking, Kentucky at home against Tennessee. 39-19 at half, up 20 at half. Tennessee, not a good showing on the road again today. And everything else that we have for you will be part of our picks. So I guess we will go through.
Let's just do the weekend review. We'll just kind of highlight some games that happened.
And I'm sorry, Virginia with a close win against Notre Dame and a cover for Notre Dame. Virginia at home won by 2, 57-55. That game is already final.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that.
They
So
already
Notre Dame
final.
lost.
Notre Dame lost, but covered again. Notre Dame's been covering, and Mike Bray's last year, they played well against Duke for the first half. They're trying.
Right. Well, it's Mike Bray's farewell tour, which I think is kind of good. He's a good guy in college basketball. He's been around for a long time, and this is his swan song season.
That was Mike Krzyzewski's first time back at, the game was in Cameron Fieldhouse.
Oh, nice.
And that was Mike Krzyzewski's first game back with his wife to say goodbye to Mike Bray. They must be good friends.
Oh, interesting.
So
Very
he came with his wife, and I watched a decent part of the game. Rapid fire?
Well, let's just do the weekend review real quick, and then we'll do rapid fire. So Monday night, there was, and these are just highlight games. Miami played UNC. Again, the reason I wanted to highlight this is it was 80-72. Miami won. Miami's ranked 15th right now. UNC used to just dominate. Just to see how things have changed and how down Duke and UNC are this year.
The whole conference, really.
The whole conference, totally. Number 6, Texas played Texas Tech. Texas Tech won 74-67. Tuesday night, Providence, number 24, played number 18 Creighton. Providence won 94-86. These are two teams you want to mark on your NCAA picks for the tournament because these guys are sleepers and they're teams that can get in there and be a 6, 7, 8, 9 seed and knock off some higher seeds.
They play team ball and they play some physical ball and some defensive ball. So when you're seeing somebody like Purdue get eaten up in live with a 7'3" guy, these are teams that I don't know if I want to be facing. Again, are they the top of the top? Maybe not, but on any given day,
they can win. And then Tuesday night made me very happy. NC State traveled to Syracuse. NC State was ranked 23rd at the time. Syracuse pulled out a 3-point victory. The big talk on this game was the exchange that Boeheim had with the NC State coach during the handshake line. And I think when I was watching it, and I watched it live, it looked like they were just kind of kidding around a little bit. I mean, there was kind of a controversial call, and he may have been asking, the NC State coach may have been asking Jim Boeheim what he thought about it. But there wasn't some kind of salty exchange like they made it out in Google.
Syracuse went at home against, at that time, a ranked team. I think they're still 22nd. They're actually slight favorites. Did cover the spread, though.
Yep, 75-72. Wednesday night, we had number 1 Alabama versus number 10 Tennessee. Tennessee wins 68-59. We just never know which Tennessee team's going to show up.
And the SEC in general is kind of a roller coaster with the odds and stuff.
Those are the two best teams in the SEC. So
and they're getting blown out at halftime by Kentucky, who's not in their best days right now.
Well, Kentucky's one of those teams too. You never know who's going to show up, and if you get the good Kentucky, look out.
Dr. Hyde and Mr. Jekyll.
Another great game Wednesday night was 16 Xavier versus 11 Marquette. Marquette ended up winning him and edging him out 69-68. That was just a great game to watch. I enjoyed that. Number 21 San Diego State, again Mountain West Conference, versus Fresno State. The reason I brought this game up was because the score was 45-43. I mean, that's like a JV basketball game in high school.
San Diego State's starting to figure out they're locking down on D. You're going to need to score a few more points to win a couple games, but there's always a team that gets it going, and it's a different team than you've seen the last couple of years. But right now, they're starting to take precedence in the Mountain West, where people weren't really sure. My Lobos are running hot for a while. They got to win last night, finally, much needed. But look for San Diego State to come out of there. They look like 3 or 4 teams. It may be 1 or 2 teams at tops, the way some of these teams are playing right now for conference bids.
Interesting, yeah, I agree with
conference
you.
And at-large, I'm sorry.
Yep. Thursday night we had Stanford play against number 4 UCLA. I put 2 Iowa State. Iowa State won. I'm not sure who they played.
Oh, I got
because I wrote them down as 2 Iowa State games. But Iowa State ended up winning Wednesday night, which is good that they bounced back from their loss, their tough loss on Saturday. Thursday night, Stanford plays UCLA. UCLA wins 73-64. Stanford is not ranked. UCLA is 4th. Number 2, Houston versus SMU, 80-65. The Zags beat LMU. I mean, they killed Loyola. I talked to my insider, Matt Johnson, and basically in the first half, the Zags shot off the charts, and just everything they put up went in. Strother's finally played the game that he has the potential to play, and Timmy, of course, added his great points as he normally does, but they absolutely crushed
the Zags
Loyola.
Finally did what people kind of thought they were supposed to, so hopefully that's a good trend in their direction, because they do have St. Mary's. Both teams are going to get in the tournament, but I think,
yeah. And what you're seeing is that when you have good guard play for the Zags, when Strother shows up, it opens up everything on the inside for Timmy and all the other guys down there. And what you see right here is an absolute drubbing, because the first time they played Loyola, it was a lot closer.
The game of Iowa State played.
Who did they play?
TCU.
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 That's a good win.
Yeah.
For Iowa State.
70-59.
We talked already about the Purdue-Maryland game, 68-54. So this brings us to our rapid fire. Let's see how well Patrick and I do. We're going to do the accountability factor next week. Pay attention to the point spreads. So slow down on your point spreads, just because I want to be able to keep it, but also the people out there. See if you guys, just for some, shits and giggles, play along with us and see what you pick and see how well you fare with these picks as well. I mean, it gives you something to do, and then you can maybe find a nice parlay for next weekend if you find some success and make some money.
And again, some of these odds, the games that are coming up have already moved. We'll go with the odds that we have. There's going to be probably no more than a point differential. The first game on the 12 o'clock tip-offs, the noon tip-offs here in Denver. Miami's at home, -6.5 over against Wake Forest, I should say. I will take Miami at 6.5 at home.
Oh, I'll take Miami all the time. Yep. Home 6.5. Yep.
And then the next game was TCU is at home against Oklahoma State. TCU is 6-point favorites against the Cowboys at home. I'm going to take Oklahoma State on the road with the 6.
And I'll go with TCU. I'll take the points at home.
And you're taking the points.
I'm going with a lot of home teams this time.
Texas -10.5 against the University of Oklahoma. Rivalry game, more in football, Red River than basketball.
Red River rivalry.
10.5. It just seems like too many to me. Texas may blow them out. They're a way better team. But I'm going to take some dogs this week. I'm going with Oklahoma +10.5.
I'm going with Oklahoma in the points as well. I think that there's enough hate between these two schools that 10 is too big.
Yeah.
10.5 is way too much.
Kansas State -3.5 at home against Iowa State. Another one of these. I mean, most of the lines have been very short in that conference at home. Usually you take the 3.5 and go with the home team, but I feel like the Cyclones are playing a little better, and I'm going to go with another dog here. I'm taking Iowa State to get the upset, I think, even, plus 3.5 on the road at Kansas State in Manhattan.
And I'm going to go with Iowa State. Ted from Malteg. I'm telling you, I'm going with Iowa State. The more and more I watch them play, the more and more I like them, and I think they're going to be a team that goes deep in the tournament.
This was the game of College Game Day. They were in Kansas, so this is the game of the week for that. Kansas at home, minus 4.5 against their division rival Baylor. I'm going with Baylor plus 4.5. Don't ask me why. I'm just going 4.5 on the road.
I feel confident with Kansas, so I think they can make it over that 4.5 points. So put me down for Kansas.
And I think Vegas agrees with you because I think that's even maybe closer to 5.5 now. But I'll take Baylor.
And you're marking these down?
Yeah, I got J's for Jim and I got circles for me.
Right on.
Xavier is at home against DePaul, 13 points. Favorite Xavier. I don't have a huge feel in this game. Why don't you start with this?
I'm going to start with this one. I like Xavier, and I think Xavier covers. You know, DePaul is just, they're not ranked, they're not playing well. Xavier just came off, they lost. They lost to Marquette on Wednesday, so they're a little salty. And I think you're going to find that they cover the points.
I'm going to go with Jim, and I'm going to follow him on this one. I guess I will go with Xavier at home, minus 13. Providence at home, minus 3.5 against Villanova. I am going to go with Providence at home, 3.5.
Okay, and I like Jay Wright, so I'm going to go with Villanova. I like him this time of year. I think he's getting his team ready, although they're not really a dominant team like they normally are. I picked the coach, so I'm going to go with Jay Wright and Villanova.
Bama's at home against Georgia, 18.5 against Georgia. We talked about this conference. That's a number.
Big.
Bama's the better team, yes, but this is also another rivalry game stemming from football more than basketball.
Yep.
This conference is so up and down. I will go with the 18.5. To me, that's too many points.
Me too. I mean, you're giving away. I mean, you think about this. The average college basketball team scores probably between 70 and 80 points. You're going to give away almost a quarter of the points. You just can't do it.
Zags are one of our few favorites on the road this week. They are big favorites too. 17-point favorites at Pepperdine.
They're playing against the volleyball team at Pepperdine, right? Or is it No, it's going to be the water polo team.
I really want to say Pepperdine, but I'm going to go with the Zags, thinking they double down on what they just accomplished and continue to get a little better towards the tourney. Taking the 17, don't like it at all, but I'm going to take the 17.
You know what? I feel confident, Matt, out there, buddy. I just want to let you know. I'm going with their Zags, and I'm not worried one bit. I think they're going to win by 20-plus points against Pepperdine.
Creighton on the road at the Johnny, St. John's, 7-point favorites Creighton, so we have another road favorite, 7. Creighton probably the better team, but I'm going to go with the Johnnies at home on a Saturday upset. I like my Johnnies.
All right, interesting. I'm going with Creighton.
All right.
I like Creighton. I like the way they're playing. It's nice to see them in the top 25.
Arizona minus 12.5 against Colorado. Arizona is at home again. They are the favorites. I liked them a lot last week. That was one of the games I lost against Stanford. Stanford won the game outright. So we're going to do the revenge thing here like he just said. I think they're a little salty. I'll take the 12.5. Don't love it. Really like kind of Colorado in my head. But I'm going to hope that the Wildcats start getting a little aggressive as the tourney starts to get closer. And Colorado's not a great team. So give me the 12.5. I think it's a little too much.
So they're getting 12.5 points against Colorado?
They're the favorite. So when I'm taking the 12.5.
Colorado's getting 12.5 points.
They're the underdogs.
I'm taking Tad Boyle and the CU Buffs with that 12 points all day long.
We're going back against a lot of opposites. We tend to do this a lot.
Well, it's good, though. It'll make it nice for next week's overall, record.
St. Mary's coming off a couple rough games to them. A little bit of a dwell, nothing crazy. Minus 10 at home against BYU. I'm going to go with the Cougs again to cover the spread on the road. 10's too much to me.
And they're not playing at BYU. They're playing at St. Mary's.
Yeah, home game for
San Francisco or wherever. Where is St. Mary's?
They're north. They're in Washington.
Oh, are they really? Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
I believe. Don't mark my words, because now I'm going to have to look it
No,
up.
that's okay. I for some reason feel like BYU. I mean, I watched BYU play the Zags really tough earlier this year. And by the way, folks, if you get a chance to watch BYU play at home, tune into that game. They have a student section behind the basket that does some of the wildest things I've ever seen allowed in a college basketball game. I mean, they have guys taking their shirts off. They have, spinning wheels to hypnotize you. They do all these creative things, and it's got to be a nightmare to go into BYU and play. Now, granted, this game is not in BYU.
Granted.
It's in St. Mary's, but
They
I
do have
still,
the home fan.
I think they're going to cover.
St. Mary's is 100% right here, 100% wrong here. It's in Northern California.
That's
Don't
where I
ask
thought it
me
was. I thought it
why.
was near, like, up above
I don't think
Sacramento.
the sleeping patterns have been very good lately on this side. Last but not least, UCLA minus 26 at home against Cal. Cal has 3 wins on the year. Minus 26. It seems too good to be true. Just give me Cal plus 26.
Okay, you take Cal. I'll take UCLA.
The UCLA should
UCLA is 4th.
UCLA
in the
should be
nation.
winning this by 30 plus.
I'm going to go out on the limb and say they win by 29 and a half or more, so that's 30.
So you took St. Mary's last game or BYU?
I took BYU for some reason. I just felt like I don't think they're going to win. I think they're just going to cover.
So let's break this down into what I actually feel super confident. Again, don't spread the board on everything. It's fun to pick and give our insight and give our thoughts. The games I feel more confident in than not, I like Baylor actually on the road. I like Baylor on the road. It's 4.5. I think it's up to 5.5 now. I like that. I think it's going to be a close contested game. I do not really like TCU at home against Oklahoma State. I like Oklahoma State plus 6. So those are 2 underdogs on the road I like. And the other game that I have a soft lean but not a great lean, the Johnnies at home plus 7. I have a lean in that game. And something about that 18 points in that Georgia game. So those would be the 4 games I would go with. And
That's Patrick's picks, boy. I'm
four-
telling you, write them down.
Those are the 4 that I'm centralating at. Some of these games, the BYU, the Cal picks, those aren't my favorite. The Arizona one, not my favorite. So I like maybe 4 games, 2 to 4 games. If I was going to make my wagers, I would centralate my bets around.
Well, good, and that's why you get paid the big bucks. And we were able to pull Patrick away from all these other betting, opportunities he had to make him come and be a part of the Dr. Jimbo Love Show featuring Patrick the Picker. That's why. Let's go and talk a little bit about our women.
Yeah, gotta finish it up.
Okay.
Finish up strong.
So we've got 2 different things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the big game that happened last Sunday. And granted, it's a little bit old news, but it was the marquee game of women's college basketball thus far. And the University of South Carolina played in Columbia against number 3 at the time, LSU. The game ended up being 88-64, University of South Carolina. So they beat them handily. And that was a huge SEC matchup because those were by far the 2 best SEC teams. At the half, South Carolina was already out. It was up by 10 points. It was 42-32. And really, the whole thing of this game was LSU's Angel Reese versus Aliyah Boston for South Carolina. Let's look and see how that matched up. Remember, South Carolina plays about 12 different women, and they just run, groups of women in and out. So they don't get as much playing time sometimes as some of the other people. Let's start with Angel Reese. She had 34 minutes that she played. She only had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 16 points. That's not really good for her when she's averaging 23.5 points and 15.8 rebounds per game. Aliyah Boston, again, she played 31 minutes, which means Dawn Staley played her a lot more than what she's averaging. She's only averaging 24 minutes, so it looks like they wanted to keep her in there to shut down Angel Reese, which looks like she kind of did. And Aliyah Boston had 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 14 points. Remember, she only averages 13 points, 10 rebounds, and that's down considerably from last year's output. Remember, she was the women's college basketball player of the year last year.
I set the line on this, I think, about -3.5. There's no lines in ladies sports.
Yep.
There may be some sites out there.
You did set the line, that's
but
right.
I said about 3.5. I said I would take the Gamecocks, and it looks
you
like,
won.
Looks like they blew them out pretty
Oh,
good.
they blew them out, 88-64. Now, the big reasons were USC had 5 ladies in double figures. They also shot 57.4 for field goal percentage, where LSU only shot 40% from the floor. Offensive rebounds were way skewed. Carolina had 43, where LSU only had 25. That's a big difference right there. I mean, you're talking 18 different second chance opportunities that South Carolina had. It also means that South Carolina was getting to the ball on the offensive end and on the defensive end as well, and it's hard to beat a team like that. The turnovers didn't play a factor at all. 12 for LSU, 9 for USC. Pretty even, so not bad. Let's move into some women's soccer. Do you want to?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about this She Believes Cup.
I think South Carolina in women's basketball, I haven't seen anybody really come close to.
No. This was, I think,
The 3, 4s, and 5s aren't quite like the ones.
South Carolina has a program that is really reminiscent of the program that they had at Tennessee for so long.
And then
Pat Summitt, those Pat Summitt teams of the 90s and the early 2000s were dominant, and Pat Summitt had sometimes 10 or 12 players participating, just the same way Don Staley has it going for USC.
And
It's going to be tough.
it was UConn for all the years, and now
And then
UConn's
UConn was
drifted
tough
off.
too.
He's getting up there in age. I don't know how much the coach is. I don't know how much he's got left.
Very
in him.
on.
And now it looks like South Carolina may be the new dog.
Yep. It really does, and the way it looks is they're trying to keep as many highly talented women involved in the program, because they don't want to lose these women to the transfer portal because they're not playing enough, and then they have to face them in the tournament somewhere. I mean, that's your nightmare scenario. It's almost like the NFL. When you make a trade, you don't want to trade somebody into your own division. You know what I mean? Then you face them twice a year.
And that's where they always end up going. Free agency or Anywho, She Believes Cup.
She Believes Cup. Now, folks, women's soccer people, you all know about this cup, and the first round games were in Orlando, Florida. They were on Thursday night, and we had the U.S. team winning 2-0 versus Canada. It was the Mallory Swanson show. She scored 2 goals, although her second goal was kind of a mistake on the defense, but they credited her with the goal, but she got both goals. The first goal coming at the 7-minute mark, and the second one right before the half was a defensive mistake, as I mentioned earlier. Canada claimed mental exhaustion. So the girls, the women there, and the different players are in kind of I would say it's a kind of a conflict over how much they're going to be paid. So the mental exhaustion part of it, they came out flat. Sometimes they say they come out very mad. They didn't come out mad. They were flat and just did not look very, very good.
They're doing the same thing that the U.S. women's soccer program, and there's been many stories outside the line and stuff like that. So Canada was actually brought up this week, kind of almost along with them. I know they're getting the support from the United States women. More of an equal right with pay.
Yep. That's what they're looking for.
And there's a lot more further in-depth research, and I don't want to go above my head from what I know, but that's the gist of kind of what he's talking about.
Yep, good way to sum it up. Before the game, Alex Morgan was honored. This is her 20th time being on the national team. That's really something. That's a testament to her longevity.
She's got to be, 30-something, 38?
We can check it and see for sure.
36?
Folks, on Sunday, there's a double header tomorrow. Okay, you've got USA versus Japan in the nightcap. The first game is Canada versus Brazil. They will be playing in Nashville. So if you're in the Nashville area and you want to go see some really high quality women's soccer, they're right in your backyard. So
33 years old.
33-year-old Alex Morgan. That's pretty good though. It's good longevity. It's tough to be, especially in a game where quickness and stamina and all of that. It's like basketball. The shelf life for basketball players is just not as long as you would see for some of the football position, because you just have got so much demand, as far as having to run and stay up with all these younger women. So 33 years old.
LeBron's. It's hard to think he's been around that long, but he sets the scoring record, kind of side note in the NBA, at his age, and he still says he has a few more years left. I mean, to think, it seems like yesterday he was coming out of high school. And
Yep.
You know what that means?
What's that?
Well,
We're really old.
We're getting old.
Yeah, I'm very old. You're not even close to being old yet. Just some past she believes. United States has just been such a dominant team. United States won in 2016, 2018, and then the last 3 years, 2021 and 22. France won in 2017, and England won in 2019. So just remember, the USA has just been the dominant soccer program and team in the world. So we'll see if we can get 4 in a row and win the She Believes Cup this season. Anything else? What else you got going on?
Just NHL warming up, like we said, we'll get to that. My Rangers made a trade and been playing well. Big game last night. A lot of trades starting to be made in that. Pitchers and catchers reported to spring training.
That's right.
For baseball, the World Baseball Classic will be starting. Some people bailed out of that to focus on health and MLB coming up. College baseball's getting going. MLB Network's got a good program on right now with the Desert Classic, as well as another classic going on where the Houston Astros home stadium is in Minute Maid. Are we missing anything?
I don't know. We'll cover, like, again, next week we're going to go hockey heavy, NCAA basketball. We'll cover the She Believes games that happen for our women's section. We'll probably break the games down a little bit more than we did today. But
we're warming up with golf. We had a big tournament finish with another big tournament where Tiger Woods made his appearance.
He made the cut.
He made the cut at the Genesis. That's on day 3 over here. The Derby preps for the Kentucky Derby and horse racing are starting to warm up. So the horse racing folks and bettors.
How'd you do on Thursday with your horse betting?
Thursday we were pretty, nothing crazy, no big wins, no big losses. We were here for quite a while and spread it out, and then we decided to pack it up and head into the sports.
Was Danny betting a little too?
I don't think Danny did any on the horses, something about his account being locked out. He got his wagers in on the sports later that night.
Good.
We came in late afternoon.
Very good. Well, we want to thank all you that tuned in. Remember, we are broadcasting live from Brothers Bar and Grill in the shops of Northfield. Folks, if you're in the Denver metro area, it's just north of I-70 between Quebec and Central Park Boulevard. Right over by Bass Pro Shops in the Harkin Theaters. You can see that from I-70 pretty well. Come on in, check us out. Again, the TVs are brand new here. They're extra 10 inches bigger than anywhere else that I've seen. It's just a great sports bar. The food is all comfort food, and we have different specials and stuff that are going on. The wings are these breaded wings. They're kind of like what Hooters has with that breading, but every single sauce is made fresh here on a daily basis, and all the blends are proprietary. So if you want to come in and try the blue cheese, try the ranch, try the honey mustard, they're all proprietary blends of just delicious sauces. Again, for Evergreen Farms out of Ithaca, New York, for your any kind of pine tree or evergreen tree, we can go as high as 35 to 40 footers. 40 footers are a little tough. 35 is usually the limit. Again, call Scotty Howard at 607-227-3500. That's pretty much a wrap, huh?
That's it. Let's go see what the games bring, and we'll go through our wins and losses next week with you. And happy end of football season. Not a lot of happy people about it, but moving on to the spring. Hopefully warmer temperatures are in the air. I thought we were warming up, but I looked at the forecast here in Denver, and I don't like what I see coming
Minus 12 on Thursday. Minus 12 here, then minus 2 on Friday, so that's not good. I've already got a problem with the mice coming into my garage. Anybody got a cat I can borrow? I need a cat. I need to just foster a cat for a week to get my mouse problem under control.
Danny's got 2 of them.
Maybe you'll let me borrow one. All right, folks, just like we say every week, get out there, get your side hustle on, and earn it. Thanks, folks, for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Come to Brothers. Let's have some fun this afternoon.